So if you've never worked with concrete before, but you want to try, this is the video for you. Today, what I'm going to do is demonstrate how to do a simple first-time concrete project to make stepping stones like this. It's actually an economical and relatively simple way to get a nice solid stepping stone without as much headache and or prep work that you may have using other stepping stones. But I highly recommend, if you've never touched concrete before, start with a very small project, maybe something like this. When you do a stepping stone like this, what you can do is actually design your stepping stone to be the volume of about 1 bag of concrete. So in this demonstration, I estimated that one 80-pound bag of pre-mixed concrete should cover about a 12-inch by 24-inch by 3.5-inch deep, that's the width of a 2x4, should be about the volume of one 80-pound bag of concrete. Now there's some caveats to that, and I'll explain a little bit later. It's only needed 3 bags of concrete here, and again, it's a nice simple way to start working with concrete because a stepping stone doesn't have to be super fancy, super nice. If you make little mistakes here or there in a stepping stone, it'll probably still be a functional stepping stone and not be a big deal.
Next, I remove the sod, and I also remove about a couple inches of soil. Come back and tamp it, and then I want to make sure to keep the ground nice and moist before I add any new concrete.
One of the nice things when you pour a concrete step like this is that you can level your form to be nice and level and then pour the concrete to be level there, whereas opposed to if you were to place something like a bluestone or something, you'd have to do extensive groundwork to get that particular stone nice and level. So in my opinion, it's a little bit easier to do this and it's usually less expensive.
Now it's time to add some water.
So that line is where my watermark is.
I add some of that water to a mixing bucket, then I add the concrete and make sure to wear a mask here. Add the remaining water, and I choose to use a concrete mixing drill when mixing concrete as a one-man concrete crew. Think it's the most efficient way. Then I add half of that concrete to the form, I tamp it down, and then I could come back with some steel reinforcement. I'm using threaded rod, but rebar will work as well. I add the rest of the concrete, and I basically kind of get it to fit in the form nice and neatly. Then I tap the edges with a hammer, and then I go on and repeat this process for the remaining 2 steps. Now when you have a little bit more concrete, you can come back and screed it with a straight block of lumber. Simply just rub it back and forth. This ensures the concrete stays levels with the form and gets rid of any excess. But I do want to point out here, I did make a mistake. I estimated that one 80-pound bag would go into a 12 by 24 form, and it looked like it was a little light, so I made it work. What it is, I put some chunks of debris concrete down at the bottom, and that filled up some volume. It allowed me to fill up the forms. Now, if you're doing a legit concrete project that's much bigger, a lot of people recommend not putting scrap concrete in to fill volume. Their argument is that it's more likely to crack, and that may be true in some bigger type things, but for a little stepstone like this, I'm not too worried about it. It should be okay. Now, finishing concrete is really more of an art form that comes with a lot of experience, and I'm not claiming to be good at it at all, but you probably should let the concrete set a while before you try to finish it. When you do steps like this, you really don't need to finish it per se, and you gotta understand when you finish concrete, there are different types of finishes for different applications. So in this type of application, we kind of want a rough step, so even just screeding the concrete and that being your finishing step would be fine. What I like to do is smooth a little bit more using a magnesium float. You simply kind of scrape the surface. You can tap any holes or imperfections you have and then go ahead and smooth it out with a magnesium float. And I repeat these processes on the remaining step, use the edger tool and the magnesium float. Then the next day I can come back and remove the forms. Now in this case I couldn't get to the screw, so I simply use a Sawzall to cut one screw, and then I could carefully pry the form boards off. Now it's important to note here that concrete is still a little soft, but that's actually nice because it allows us to adjust it a little further. If there's any rough edges, we can simply soften those using a scrap piece of wood like I'm doing in this situation here. Now I also can come back and smooth out any surface imperfection using a stiff broom, and this also gives a little bit more texture for stepping, anti-slip if you will. It's a good idea to keep concrete moist for at least a few days. Then I can come back in and fill in around the stones with the dirt I pulled out. And here's our steps.
Now, in my opinion, concrete is far more of an art than a science. And what I mean by that is you get better with concrete the longer you work with it. So your first time is probably not going to be your best attempt by any means. So it's a good idea to start with something small.
New boots, nice, secure, waterproof.
So there it is. I hope you found this video helpful or insightful at least. And if so, please consider giving a thumbs up and maybe even subscribing. And if you have any insights that you'd like to share or anything you want to point out that you don't like about what I showed, please share in the comments below. Thanks for watching.